Hey everyone, welcome to our latest edition. Here with Ricky.
Back again.
Yeah, how you feeling, buddy?
Sound.
Yeah,
A bit tired, it's getting a bit manic, innit? That time of year.
ready for Valentine's Day?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day and my wife's birthday 2 days later.
Oh, amazing, amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I could be in trouble by the end of next week.
Sounds like an expensive week, mate.
Sound.
We're going to share the love this week as well. This is the latest issue of Koi Talk magazine. Again, fantastic month of orders we've had, so we're really grateful for everyone's support. Put the code in on the subscription page and you'll get your free issue, first issue of the magazine, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and you'll continue subscription. So that's just a quick plug on that side of things, and we're going to get straight into it. So
I just want to stop you. It was very smooth rolling into that then from the Valentine's play straight into sharing the love.
yeah,
That was slick,
that's
Nice.
Drama A level coming in there, Ricky.
Awesome, mate.
You wouldn't know about that.
No. No.
But yeah,
Sound.
yeah. Thank you, Rick, for that compliment.
Pleasure.
Not that I get many, but yeah. So yeah, Rick, you sort of come in with a big grin on your face. So I all sort of know you've done something a little bit edgy, a little bit sort of mental. Should I put it? So we've spoken a few times about showing in Japan and what it takes. Pushing that bar up a little bit. Really, it is next level. I think we're all in acceptance that it is a different level to European judges. European shows. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on then. Tell us.
Well, I might have bought a nice little 14 centimetre GinRin Kohaku for having a shot at the Wakagoi. One that I'm pretty confident we're going to bag a nice award with. In fact, very confident.
Yeah, I mean,
it takes some fish to beat it.
It is pretty sensational. Like it's something. Obviously, you'll see see the fish on the screen now. It's even as a small fish, it's pretty impressive. It's
got a presence about it. I received three options. I've been fishing around at a few breeders for some fish for the show, and so these popped up. I've got a mega soft spot for GinRin, and I seem to have a thing for GinRin Kohaku at minute especially. And yeah, so 3 fish popped up. That one at 14, I think one at about 22, and then another one I just dismissed straight away. So just when I saw that one, I mean the elegance, the way it carries itself already, how it's posturing, and the detail, just every little bit of it. 14, it's crazy.
And it is a weird feeling or emotion when you're looking at a fish and it just has that certain aura, that sort of it's not that tangible. You couldn't really quantify it and say like, oh, that's got. You just know it when you see it.
I think this is what we spoke about when we've done this before, isn't it? It's almost like the 4th criteria in Japan. It's the emotive feeling that the fish produces. And
something that you can't tick a box for.
It's
it's got it or it hasn't.
Teach it either. But it certainly got me with that one, and I think it will on the day. See them fish, they're being judged through a bag to begin with, and I just think it's gonna. Yeah, I'm confident. So let's wait and see.
Looking to obviously grow it in size, but is it a now fish or is it hopefully now and in the future?
So it's interesting.
So you always get that saying, don't you? Your baby champion never goes on to be. Yeah. I know. Different. You're looking at a finished fish.
Yeah.
First and foremost, sort of thing.
There's obviously potential in it. There's risk elements I'm not seeing like you'll see on it. I mean the Kiwa and the Sashi right now is absolutely it's just razor sharp, which is rare in a fish of that size, as you'll know. But whether or not it can go the full distance, I don't know. It certainly will push through a few sizes. I'm not looking at it right now as being a big fish. It's absolutely not in my mind. First and foremost, I'm looking to compete at that size class. Yeah. And then it's just a case of seeing where that goes. My vision for that fish moving forward is it'll be raised slowly in Japan until it comes home, and then when I get it back, it'll just be pushed slowly and kept as a fish that can compete at small sizes, and that's where I'll look to keep it. Yeah. And that for me is the best route for that particular
fish.
It looks
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, I feel if I try and push it, showing no signs of it. The Benny quality is good. I can see there's depth there and there's quality to it, but no sachet at all. It's a bit of a red flag for me that if I push that too hard, I might pull Benny to pieces.
Yeah, sure.
Ultimately, there's possibly not that much thickness, but
yeah, there's a little less
elasticity under there.
Yeah, perfect word for it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I haven't bought it as a fish I'm looking to grow huge. I bought it to compete certain size classes, and how that fish is set, I believe it can do the business. So
watch this space, I guess.
Watch this space. It's an interesting one.
And I know we're pretty candid as a company, as we are. What are we looking at, sort of price wise, for a fish like that? I mean, realistically, say like there's people watching this, or just people that are intrigued to work out what would it take to take a decent prize in a size.
Yeah,
small
that
size.
with that level of confidence. Obviously, you can buy fish for koi show. A lot of fish are good for koi show, worthy for koi show. That's not to say, I look at them thinking it could possibly do it. To have this level of confidence in a fish, you're playing at a top level. I mean, even speaking to the breeder, I've asked him if he's got any more options, and he said that as far as they're aware, fish that they feel can win a first prize or above, no. So a decent sized farm, that's quite something.
Yeah, sure.
To say that. So, but when you put that in perspective, talking 3 fish there I've been offered. It's not many, so obviously they command a price. Fish that are worthy to compete, certainly when everyone around's confident, fetch a price tag. So, yeah, 14 cm. I mean, we're looking at a fish that's a few £1,000 in value there. That's it's not mincing around, but that is what it takes to compete at that level. Yeah, and that's at 14 cm. Not quite the smallest division off the top of my head, but.
Yeah, no, obviously I'm not. We're
no
not
less competitive.
I didn't want to get that out of you in a way of sort of like, oh, look how much you spent on a fish. It's more of a, this is where you're at.
I think you're right to do so, because I think again a lot of the perception is, if I'm going to spend that amount of money on a fish, I want it to be, I don't know what, 50, 60, 70
guaranteed
centimetres
female.
long. Yeah, this is 14 cm. It's unsexed. It's probably a fish that's not going to grow into a bit. We might be wrong with that one. But yeah, I'm buying it for one purpose and one purpose only, and fish like that come with a premium. Do you think? And this is the reality of the koi world. It's the bit a lot of people don't get to see that's going on in Japan on a daily basis. I just lost out in the last Danichi auction on a GinRin show that, again, when I saw it, koi show, that is going to dominate. Yeah. And I was seriously into that one on the bidding, and I took it halfway to where it eventually went when Mr. Narita bagged it. So quite nice that he saw it that as well.
Well, yeah, at least I guess that's some condolence, mate.
So luckily, it's not in the same size class as this one I've just got. But yeah, again, another fish that rightly so, and I see obviously then someone like that is prepared to go as far as he went, because he's got that level of confidence. He's going to bag a prize.
Do you think, from a hobbyist perspective, it's a bit difficult? So, take the Japanese show side away and take the UK side, for example. Obviously, limited space. Just say you're showing your fish and you've got one pond. Do you think you should home in on a size class to maximise? Or do you think that sometimes hobbyists get a little bit clouded in their judgment of what they really want to go for? So say like if you wanted to attack the smaller size fish, do you think they've got half a mind on what the fish is going to be like in 4 or 5 years' time all the time?
Yeah, possibly. I think it's become a bit of an obsession with everybody in general that they're trying to grow everything massive. Yeah. I think there's certainly been a phase where it's like every fish has got to grow to 90 centimetres. Well, we know the reality that is very few ever do it, and very few of quality ever do it. Certainly with Go Sankey, but yeah, I mean, we've got to look in reality of budgets. If I'm wanting to compete at, let's move up the ranks, the 50, 60, 70 centimetre classes, when we're just saying obviously what it's took to buy a fish at level to
Yeah.
compete at
Do
40s,
the maths, yeah.
you can sort of multiply that up and see where you're going to get to.
Mm.
That's not easy. The other way of doing it, which is the way I like to compete in the bigger classes, to try and find them fish younger, you know, and take the risk on them. I think we've had it on this video before, the Goshki I've got at Wakagoi Koi Farm at the
Yes.
minute. You know, he was there when I got that, obtained that at Nisai for a reasonable price, really. Certainly looking at it now, it was a reasonable price. And it's just had to have some patience, you know. It wasn't the finished article then, it wasn't ready to compete, but I believed it had the potential to reach that level in a few years. And what now? I'm on 3 years into that fish, I think, and it's looking like it's just about there. Maybe another 6-12 months and we'll be good to go.
But I guess equally the risk is in front of you as well when you do it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantee
Oh,
regardless.
no, at any point something can go wrong with that one. That's just how it is. That's what I expect. So yeah, unless it's the two ways of doing it, which, you know, you can go straight into someone like Narita, who's got a collection of perfectly pruned, polished fish that can walk straight in and win awards, or you can play the game and go out hunting, do it the hard way, find the fish. For me, it's the way I want to do it. It's the more challenging way, in the way that you learn more, but you've got to have a lot more prospects on the go. You know, you can't go all in on one fish. It's a numbers game. The whole, I've said that on here before as well, the whole thing's a numbers game, you know. Yes, if you just want to play straight in, you go to Narita, you buy that one, you're probably going to win your award and happy days. Or you go around buying bigger numbers of fish in lots of places, you have them on the go and see which ones come good.
And for the likes of yourself and me, the concept of smaller, older fish is not, you know,
Perfectly, yeah.
Chibi Nisai, you know, perfect example. You know, in Japan, I know a lot of some of these smaller sizes are actually
Chibi
older
Nisai
fish.
is small Nisai, by the way. Various different words for that one. Chibi, Chisai, Shimi Nisai. There's quite a few you'll hear flat about, but the concept is, and Bonsai Koi as well. They've been caught once upon a time. It's a smaller raised 2-year-old fish.
Yeah, sorry, should clear that up. But people are quite obsessed with that small in a negative respect. Small equals
bad.
But obviously the reality is not all fish are destined to have the biggest body, the best body line, the biggest aggression in the body shape. Some fish are better suited to staying more, not compact in terms of body shape, but just a smaller fish. The pattern doesn't work with the fish getting bigger, or the body won't carry the pattern into a bigger fish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Chibi Nisai, I mean, the market is huge for it. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, growing every year.
And I know like a lot of dealers would turn their nose up and go, or call them Tosai. And it's just like,
I think I don't even think that's so much with the dealers. I think that's more on the hobbyist side of the fence. There's probably a lot of misconceptions about what they actually are. The concept in Japan, I mean, I was first introduced into it at Sakazumi Koi Farm, way back, I think it was like 2003. So every autumn he has, I'll call it a little market stall outside his fish house, full of different tanks, different vats, some full of fish, some actual 50-60 centimetre bowls just with a little carbon filter and an air stone in. And every fish in there, they're up to like 25 cm maximum, some as small as 15, all 2-year-old fish. All been raised indoors, concrete raised over the summer. And the main reason for that sale is aimed at Japanese hobbyists who will buy those fish looking to compete at shows. You know, raise them in small environments, so they're just looking for stunning little fish that's probably being raised in a smaller tank. A lot of koi keeping in the cities in Japan because of lack of space is done in relatively small ponds. So there's that side to it. But in order to sometimes raise fish that can compete at the smaller size in shows, you've got to throttle it back a little bit, because you've got to really work on refining the colour, refining all the elements, getting the right body posture on the fish, because sometimes you can only achieve that with age. A Tosai will generally grow leaner than a Nisai. It's at 2, 3 and 4 years old, they start putting some weight on and actually
structure to the
filling
fish,
out. So, and obviously, with colour, the more you stretch it, You can stretch it too far sometimes, but if you really want to push it up to maximum, keep it small and work the colour. You know, push the pigment cells up in a smaller space.
Yeah.
It's going to get brighter.
More
so
concentrated,
that's sort of like the thing behind it. And I think, the reason they've clicked on is because if you apply that thought process, what it makes is like 20-25 centimetre fish that look really stunning. Body's a bit more developed than at Oase, colours looking really good because they've been raised indoors in fresh water as opposed to in a mud pond where it's obviously darker and colour tends to drop off a bit. So yeah, I think that's why, but I think the misconception part's coming when it gets to the hobbyist side, thinking the fish will never grow. You know, because let's face it now, we've got Nisai at the other end of the scale, hitting 70 centimetres in some varieties. So yeah, there's a perception that they won't grow or they won't do anything above and beyond where they're at. That's not the case. You know, if those Chibi Nisai are kept yet, you know, you do another year not really growing a lot, at some point, yes, you will stunt it a little bit. But again, it depends what you're looking to do, because yes, the growth might not really kick on, you know, when they've been held like that for a couple of 3 years, but they'll still carry on looking good.
Yeah.
You'll get real longevity out of the colour, in fact, because you've not overstretched it, you've not overpushed it, anything like that. They keep looking really good for a long period of time. And I mean, just look here, one of the most popular pond bean pretty much now for the past 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, sure.
The Aoki Chibi Nisai. I mean, what a pond to own. If you actually add it, you look at the level of variety in there that's going on. You know, all the different metallic varieties, chuck some Goshki in, you know, a bit of GinRin, everything he's got going on. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. I could just picture it now, you know, nice sort of like, you know, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 gallon pond.
Perfect.
With fish in there from sort of 20 up to say 35 cm, just looking absolutely mint. But undeniable that it impressed 99% of koi keepers. And I don't see anybody with aspiring to that as being the dream. It's like the dream's to own all these big fish.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, a lot of them don't look that good when they get bigger.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, like tapping into the actual advantages of Chibi Nisai and the actual longevity of them. You know, the amount of times that, you know, selling fish, selling Tosai, jumbo Tosai, young fish.
Yeah.
Oh, do you reckon that's got potential to do sort of 75, 80? And you're just kind of going...
It gets banded around. Like
as if it's something that everyone's got in their back garden. And you kind of going, well, you've probably never seen an 80 centimetre fish. Yeah. You know, they're not, okay, you can grow them, but to grow a good one is not easy.
And being variety specific, obviously at some varieties, it's about as big as they're going to get in some cases. So yeah, I've seen it just too commonly sort of banded and thrown around like it's nothing to do. Well, we know it's not the case. But yeah, Chibi Nisai, I just think it's misunderstood, and they're stunning.
I mean, certainly for like more, obviously, where I come from, not so much up here, because you get quite a lot of land. The garden's quite big.
Yeah.
But like where I come from, like, you know, gardens are getting smaller and smaller, and then obviously this notion that you've got to have a 4,000 or 5,000 gallon pond. Yeah. Well, you know, it's not practical. You know, it's take up half people's gardens. Yeah, a good percentage of people. So, is it a route that maybe hobbyists that are looking to get into the hobby or not building a pond because they think that they have to have something biblical? Yeah. That they should start tapping into.
I think for a lot of people, it's a side of the hobby that's probably not ever actually been promoted.
But like urban koi keeping, we could call
almost.
It. Yeah.
I mean, let's face it now. I think I said before, the Japanese are looking more and more. Japanese are keeping koi in aquariums. We've seen it in Nagoka City, around one of the areas where they do events. There's a big fish tank set up with some really nice koi in it. They look awesome. The tank I've got in my office, I think that's the route I'm going to go down this time, having some little koi in it, which is more than doable. More than doable. I think it'd be a nice touch. And again, finding the right fish, sort of like looking side view through the window, stuff like that. Different fish you can actually get that are really suited.
Yeah, more to another dimension.
More to that environment. So, yeah, I think it's probably a side not considered by many, but it's not to think it's easy. You just don't force them to grow. Growing them's a skill. Actually keeping good looking fish and keeping them, you know, relatively small and in that kind of condition, it takes as much skill, if not more, than the ones to grow massive.
Yeah.
Because not every fish can be grown Chibi Nisai or bonsai koi that well. You know, males suit it better than females because it's the sort of body. Because you're not got a big frame there. The female bodies with the egg and the way the sort of weight sits on them can blow out quite easily and look pretty
it can
terrible.
look quite dumpy, can't they?
Yeah,
Older, smaller female fish.
And you've got the thing, obviously, with some as well. It's finding the right sort of shapes of fins that can work it because the fins still grow sometimes disproportionately to the rest of the body. So, it's an art. And then when you've got it, like I say, mastering them and keeping them at that really top level, it's a skill.
I think, more and more, sort of when I speak to hobbyists or go and see ponds, or quite fortunate to dip into lots of levels of the hobby with what I do. I think it's something that people should really take note of. For me, let's just say you're not blessed with a huge garden, but you love the hobby.
Yep.
But the thing that's stopping you is the age-old rhetoric that you've got to have a massive pond.
Yep.
I'd rather have a smaller pond, really busy with stunning. That Aoki pond would be a prime example. 15, 20 fish, 1,000, 1,500 gallon vat. There you go, sitting on my patio. Yeah, perfect.
Magic.
Yeah,
that can be. You can stock more in pond.
Yeah, you
can keep it busier looking. That in itself is quite an attraction. When you've seen these ornate Japanese gardens with these big like ponds/lakes, there's always a gazillion fish in there.
Yeah,
but it looks awesome.
Yeah,
it does. Even though the fish in there are generally absolutely shite.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
And it's sort of like, it's horses for courses. If your main objection is keeping big fish, fair enough.
That's what we've always been about, and it's just showing the different ways you can enjoy koi keeping, and not that someone ramming something down your throat that it's got to be big fish or they've got to grow jumbo. No, it hasn't. There's loads of different ways you can enjoy them, keep them, and get something from it. Again, what you personally want, whatever budget you're working on, there's a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the chibi side of things, probably in terms of attractiveness, obviously if growth isn't your thing, top of your agenda, you just want attractive koi, it's actually quite good value.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the ones to go for.
The money tends to be the fish that chase the size, or fish with potential.
Because it's resources.
Yeah.
You have to throw huge resources at them fish to get them to that spot, and that ultimately, and then down to shipping, all the rest of it, it just adds huge cost on.
Yeah.
Even this above your head, I don't think it'll be in shot, but the one of the most successful show wins to date, the Wakagoi in 2016, was a Chibi Nisai Sankey from Oase. That was specifically raised and kept to be within the 28 boo size class. What it's been done for, every bit of it. It dominated. Because it got the body posture, it had come quite nice together, but the Benny was at a point that you couldn't have done if that fish was just 12 months old. Because you just can't force the colour up that fast. You needed that extra time to get the Benny quality to the level it was at to compete and do what it did. So, let's say it's a concept that's it's normal in the Japanese show scene.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on it. Not even if you're a hobbyist, not just showing fish. it's if you see that Nisai attachment and then look at the size, it's not always a direct correlation. Chibi Nisai are purposefully kept small.
Yeah, it's intentional.
For
very much so.
And also, not every breeder has infinite amount of space. Obviously, I'm sure if they could maximise money on each fish, they would, but obviously it comes at a cost. So, I think it's something that if you haven't heard of it before, or if you've previously sort of been looking at fish and kind of gone, Nisai, I'm not very big, then I think it's something that you should take note of and look carefully at, to be honest with you.
I think so.
It's not as negative as you might think.
No, just because it says small, doesn't mean bad.
Yeah.
Great.
I agree.
Yeah, brilliant. shocking, Chris.
Yeah, sorry, mate. It's been a long day. Yeah, moving on from Chibi Nisai and costs associated with buying fish and etc. The reality of things, the forums, Facebook side, you name it, been littered with running costs, or the sort of I'm closing my pond down because costs. And don't get me wrong, it is a reality that we've got to deal with.
It is.
But obviously it's doing my head in because I don't actually know if many koi keepers enjoy keeping koi, because it sounds like they're more stressed half the time.
Yeah, I get it.
And what I wanted to get at really is sharing some opinions on why are these systems costing so much to run, and B, are they needed? So let's just break it down.
It's excess that comes back to the drum I'm banging constantly at the minute and preaching, and it's simplicity. You know, I look at where stuff is now versus when I started in the industry working at my dad's shop. You know, that was the realms of the big pumps, the quarter horsepower.
Yeah.
You know, things that needed 3-phase supply to them and all the rest of it.
Cheap to buy, but expensive to run.
Yeah, exactly. Even back then, we saw, you know, eco stuff being introduced.
Yeah.
You know, Oase has always sort of led the way on this, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ones, don't get me wrong, I know when people saying that, Oase, you think expensive, but it's quality. And, you know, there's real innovation behind their product. It's not just, you know, there's pumps out there now. Again, this is not really my area, but is what I sort of see, and you're probably more experienced in it than me. The VariFlow stuff. Even VariFlow now, it's not necessarily saying it's cheap to run. It's just you can control the output and the wattage. So to me, in my mind, that the pumps probably are more efficient than pumps were back in the day. But it's only lower wattage when you're running the pump lower. You know, I was quite surprised at the output on some I've seen when they are running flat out. You know, compared with like some of Oase's gear, which I've always pretty much every pump apart from got 3 EA VariFlows which are running my showers I've been installing. Which pretty much I've always used Oase pumps because they're worth every penny, in my opinion. Reliability, you know, their reputation precedes them in that respect. The Aquamax is just it's an institution really in its own. A phenomenal pump, been going on for years and years and years, and not only do we not ever get any grief with them, running costs, they've always been phenomenal. That's because they are truly innovating and producing that technology that's giving performance at the lower running costs. Yes, your upfront investment is more. Longer term, I'm winning with that one.
100%.
And I think it's with what's going on, I get it, I need to look at everything. I mean, it's no different here, running a business, keeping my eye on costs. There's at least we've got 65 pumps wired up, 65 UVs, countless air pumps, all the rest of it. It's a huge amount of stuff. But am I that concerned? No. Yes, it's going to be a jump, but I know I've done all I can in them areas to make it as efficient as possible. And to the point where I've already spoke about this, haven't we? We're going to do an analysis on one of the first fish houses that's got the 10 ponds in, to actually see the total output of that grid, because I'm confident that I'm possibly running that whole fish house with 10 ponds for less than some people are running one pond for.
I don't doubt it. I honestly, obviously, when I run the shop, again, similar scenario, running costs were a big part of the analysis, cost analysis, and working out your bottom line at the end of the year. But obviously, it is, and will always be false economy to buy a cheap pump that costs you 3 times the cost to run. So obviously, when you again, not institutionalised, but been brought up, Oase, Aquamax, the Aquamax Eco, Premium Eco, blah blah blah, there is a reality there that they do save you money, and the fact that they've got quite a long warranty as well. I mean, there's not many items in the house other than a fridge or freezer that run 24/7, and even they've got thermostats they'll turn off. So chucking something that runs 24/7, 365 days a year,
Completely.
in some ponds, in you know, in pretty dire conditions,
Yeah.
it's you know, their output for energy output is pretty impressive, and I just sort of think, and it's not a dig at anyone. It's more like a case of take a step back, look at the way you're keeping fish more than anything, because
Completely.
I think it's easy to hit the panic button and go, oh shit,
Yeah.
it's going to cost, let's do the maths, it's going to cost me X, Y, Z. Fill the pond in.
Yeah.
The reality is the way you're keeping your fish. Obviously, heating is a massive investment for those that heat their pond. We'll move on to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually running a pump and a filter and a UV, they really are. I mean, I used to have a 2,500 gallon pond. First pond I ever had.
Yeah.
I think I used a Superfish Eco pump.
Yeah.
44 watts.
Yeah.
UV 55 watts.
Yeah.
Air pump 20 watts.
Yeah. It's not crazy, is it?
It's not. It really isn't.
No.
I think it was about 35p a day.
Yeah.
For my love and my absolute passion.
Yeah.
Every hobby, every vice is going to cost you.
Completely.
It's whether that cost is relative and viable.
Yeah.
But the amount of ponds that I go to where they go, oh, I've got, it's just mental. Like, I've got about 40 pumps over here. I've got a heater that just, I don't even know what that does. I've got 20 UVs. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but when you actually break it down, what are all those? If you could condense that and still be, probably generate as good a excess. Is probably the perfect word for it, mate.
And for what? You know,
I don't know. Probably the mindset that will make you a better koi keeper. But the reality of it is, you know, if you everyone's obsessed with flow rate as well. Absolutely obsessed with flow rate, and the amount of people that I go to, just check your dissolved oxygen levels. No, well, do you know? Do you actually need those extra? Okay. Don't get me wrong. They give you peace of mind.
Yeah.
If one pump packs up, you know, you've got something else running.
Yeah.
If you have a power cut, you're screwed anyway. So yeah.
I mean, even just straight away. So obviously, the best sort of comparison I can give is the bigger fish house with the 3,500 gallon ponds. I mean, so typically we've seen on some of my videos on Koi Wholesale's channel the results that have been gained from them ponds, albeit with heating. But in the summer, obviously, that's free heat.
Yeah.
Because I'm using the greenhouses for that. So not paying for it, and I get it. You know, some people don't want a polytunnel in their backyard, but it's another way of looking at it. If you want to do it, is it a possibility? Because that's free heat for most of the spring summer period. You get far greater temperatures, and it costs nothing. But we look at the results, and typically for years those ponds have run with, so they're 3,500 gallon. I believe there's an Aquamax 8 or 8,500 running on them as the main filter pump. So it's single bottom drain into the drum filter. Obviously we've got the cleaning pump on there, which is quite juicy, but they're on and off. It's not a constant running thing. So we've got the 8,500 Aquamax. We'll go with that for now. There's two big AirTechs on there. I think a 130 and a 150. Yeah. 120, 150, whichever it is, and a 55 watt UV. Job done. Yeah.
Few hundred watts max, absolute max.
Yeah. And them ponds have performed incredibly. You know, drum filter, 500 litre K1 fluid bed, they perform incredibly. Turning over once every couple of hours. Yeah, job done. And then obviously, we look at the excess. The excess is what I've recently done, where I'm wanting to take things to another level. But that's my choice. You know, they were doing really well without the addition of the showers I've added. But they've added, I've still got the showers running at pretty much 30,000 litres an hour. And that's one of the EA Variflow pumps, and kicking out, I think it's over 400 watt. So instantly there, I guarantee you that one pump now is running for more than the entire system was before.
Yeah.
Way more. But that was my choice. It's
of course,
not a necessity. It's just me where I'm out wanting to go up another level, but doing perfectly well before. So yeah, before people sort of start firing off, have a look at what you're doing, and yeah, is there something on there that's excessive? You know, if it's really that important, it's going to hit you that hard. Yeah, is there something? Do you need to be running that shower? 'Cause let's face it, a decent, even a Nexus, you know, like a Nexus,
Yeah.
the 300 odd model, fully loaded with K1 is going to take a serious loading without the need of running an extra shower or an extra pump line for something else. It's going to do the job. The air pump in your pond is probably far enough. Well, in most cases, the air pump running through your Nexus will probably be plenty enough to actually saturate the whole pond.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's time just to review what you're doing, and yeah, if you are genuinely concerned about running costs, just analyse the system. You know, have you got the capacity to upgrade equipment if you're on older equipment that's not very efficient, because you could make massive savings there alone. Yeah, time for a checkup.
I mean, I think like nowadays, obviously, we're always looking. I don't think there's many people on the planet that don't look for an excuse not to spend money if you don't have to. But a lot of people's ponds, they are their absolute passion. Like it's you know almost the first thing that they look at in the morning. And not that they tuck them good night, but you know what I mean. They're just it is a lifestyle, and it would just be. I think it would just be a shame if a lot of people start jacking in the hobby because a few guys have gone round scaring the shit out of everyone on Facebook.
There is scaremongering again, and this is that whole social media thing, you know. And this isn't a correlated topic, but
no.
You know, it can be dangerous stuff. I'll say it again. There's a shitload of false reality out there on social media. Everyone puts their best life forward all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even real, but just because you know, one person it's the fear thing, scaring the hell out of people. In reality, they've not even stopped and looked at their own situation first. They're just listening to all the external noise. Pay attention to what you're doing. Make changes if you can. If it really is, and I get it, there probably is some cases where it might just push things over the edge. Then yeah, I do feel sorry for people in that situation. But
agreed. Yeah.
I'm sure there's changes that can be made somewhere along the line that can help pull it back a little bit. So yeah, interesting times.
Yeah. Obviously, mentioned about the heating. For those that do heat, that's probably one of their biggest. Well, I say probably it will be their biggest overhead, unless they're changing a hell of a lot of water each day. Again, the amount of ponds that I go to, and it's big old pond, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 gallons. There's steam coming out the top. They're heating the pond to 14, 15 degrees in winter. What you're achieving by that, other than costing you a lot of money, because they're not growing the fish at that temperature. They're not really conditioning the fish because they're still putting food in. They're just in limbo, really. But what it is it's costing them quite a lot of money. And the reality is, obviously, we've touched on it a few times about flipping it, and it is a mindset that people have got to buy into about heating your pond in summer and giving the fish a rest in the winter.
Completely.
Hitting that magic 24, 25 degree mark. Trying to heat a pond of several tons of water when the ambient temperature is -4, to get it to 14 is a huge amount of energy that's required.
It's working to its maximum.
Always, and it's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. Flip it round, let's just say the ambient temperature is on average in the summer 18, 20 degrees. You then need to heat your pond 4 degrees to hit that magic mark. Increase that food percentage to really take advantage of the summer. There you go. We've just saved you several £100, and you're not going to notice much difference other than your fish are going to be bigger.
Job done with that conversation, I think, Chris.
Yeah.
Ultimately, obviously, heating. The thing to stress here is, again, because I don't want to discourage anybody, heating isn't essential. Koi can be kept in the UK climate you know,
Yep.
as we know, in the temperature range without heating, they can do that. If you physically choose to heat, or you're choosing to spend dollars, pounds on heating, then yeah, it's about using it effectively.
Yeah.
Because you're choosing, that's what you want to do, because that's what you want to do with the hobby. If that's aimed at raising koi more, which ultimately it would be, it'll go hand in hand. Yeah, where are you using that money to make the use of that money as efficient as possible? You've got nail on head. It's absolutely pointless in winter. You know, yeah, you might want to get it too low, but heating above 12 in winter, I cannot see any point in that whatsoever. That's the absolute maximum I'd be at. You know, somewhere between 8 and 12 I'd see as absolute ideal for doing it. You're going to keep things really, really smooth and ticking over nicely then. And yeah, like you say, use it in summer just to top it up as opposed to fighting against the elements.
Yeah.
And that's every heater. The electric ones seem to work their arse off.
Yeah.
Even my boiler chugging away down there, you know, when it gets really cold, I've got to turn that thing up to max to keep up with everything. So yeah, again, heating, if you're choosing to invest in it, use it in summer.
Use it wisely.
There's just no debate about that in my head.
Yeah, probably something that when I've spoken to hobbyists about it, they kind of look at me like, "You what?" But obviously, once you actually condition your mindset and go, "Well, actually, let's look at the logic behind that."
Yeah.
Yeah, the benefits that are added. You can up your feeding if that's your thing to grow your fish big.
Completely.
You can hit that magic temperature range, which we seldom get for long periods of times in the British summer.
And even look, I mean, I know very little about them, but heat pumps, I know the efficiency of them is again at its peak that time of year.
Yeah.
You know, in the winter they're at their very least efficient.
Yeah.
And if you're using one, you know, in the middle of summer, it's going to be getting the most out of it. So I should imagine if you're running one of them, it's going to be costing an absolute pittance to warm that up in summer with one of them.
So yeah, it's. I just wanted to touch on it, mate, because I know you can't control what goes online, and you know if you let it bother you, then you probably shouldn't be reading it. But you can't help yourself sometimes, and it is frustrating because obviously there is a lot of joy to be had out of the hobby, and then a lot of people fall into the trap. We said it a few times about sort of looking at the negative side of the hobbies, and they could be helping themselves. And again, if you fall into this category, this is not a dig at you in the slightest. This is just more of an awareness about the scenario and where you could be at in the hobby, and just take that stress out of it for you. You know,
Completely.
Hobby should be enjoyment. You know,
the thing with social media, and this is more of a life thing for me. You know, if you're looking for negativity, you'll find tons of it out there. Positivity, it's there as well if you're looking for it. But yeah, the negative stuff just seems to be there in such vast things. And yeah, that for me, I think it's just important, again, who you surround yourself with in the hobby and in life in general. You know, that makes a big difference to where you get as an individual, how you think as an individual. And yeah, I don't, to be honest, all them different groups and things out there, very few of them I look at, and even fewer I participate in. You know, because I think the cultures within them are just not that great in a lot. And it's just, again, that false reality, the scary thing, because it's just too easy to fall hook, line and sinker into it. You know, and it leaves you feeling pretty shitty if you're in a place where you're taken in by it. You know, not many people post about having a super shit experience, do they? and sharing that. You know, it's all about everything being also rosy and great all the time. That's just not life.
I don't know, I had a few when I ran the shop.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just again, just at a time like this, you know, if you may be questioning where you're at in the hobby, just take a step back from it.
Yeah.
Probably a step back from all the people around you in it, and look at what you're getting from it, what you want from it, and yeah, make changes. Make changes to that. If the people you're surrounded by, the circles you're mixing in, the equipment you've got, or the way you're keeping fish, just take a step back and review that, as opposed to just going, no, it's time to shut the pond down. Because let's face it, it's one of them. If it's something you're passionate about, it's only going to come round again at some point.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm glad we touched on it, because I just feared that people might hit the panic button a bit too quickly. So obviously, if it helps, even if it helps one person watching this, then happy days. So, but yeah, I think that's enough said on that, really, isn't it? You know, in summary, get a bit of a reality check.
Look at your own situation, and not someone else's. Don't base it on someone else's or someone scaremongering. Look at what you've got going on, and that alone, because that's all that matters. All that matters. So
we're going to move back on to actual fish, koi appreciation attributes at this point. Skin quality is a funny element of koi keeping, because even if you're not into koi keeping, often skin is quite obvious. You know, the complexion, the shine that the fish give off. You know, you could easily put a bowl of fish in front of some novices and say, pick the best one with the best skin.
Yeah.
Easy, no problem. But the irony about it is maintaining the quality of the skin, and obviously it's held in terms of criteria for judging and just in general of assessing the quality of a fish. It's held in extremely high regard. It's, you know, it adds that other dimension.
It's the X factor.
Yeah, and it's that gloss. You know, it's all well and good having nice. Nice paper. Makes it look even better, sort of thing. So, what I want to get into with you is, in terms of, I know it's going to be variety dependent a lot of the time. But what do you look for when you're assessing a skin quality at the moment of purchase? And then the foundation for moving forward with skin quality. So maintaining that skin quality. What do you look for in the fish first? And then secondly, how do you look at maintaining that quality once you've identified it?
Yeah, so I think the big thing there to get in mind is that obviously it is something that has to be fluid. Ultimately, the quality's got to be there, but it's important to know as well, it's a very changeable thing. Obviously, a lot of skin condition is linked to mucus, and the mucus layer and the health and condition of the mucus. So that is something that can change a lot. You know, parasite infestation or parasite problem, they're going to start throwing excessive amounts or have the mucus ripped off them if you've got a bad case of costia going on. So, you know, at that point, you're going to lose the condition. You're not going to lose the quality. That's important. Obviously, if you're looking at a fish, you know, at Oase and it's in its prime, in top condition, peak, and everything's looking great, that's good. But you've got to understand that throughout its life, that skin quality is going to ebb and flow a little bit. That's not, if you're not, and it's just not reality to think you're going to keep that at that level throughout the period of the fish. It's just not going to happen. There's too much stuff going on that can
too many variables.
So this is why you get, obviously, on the run up to a koi show, when you want the skin to hit its peak, it's why you've got the conditioning period. That's exactly what we're looking for, and that's a period whereby you're optimizing everything in the environment and getting ultimate stability to get that skin luster to hit its peak for 2 days.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then chill out, relax. Obviously, keep it, you know, as best you can, and then you come back to that period again, where it can be intense. We can be talking a 5-6 month period here, just to compete for 1 or 2 days. So, first, just to manage expectations, because I think that's the most important thing. Do not expect skin quality to be 100% all of the time. You know, it's like during the summer growing period. It's the sort of last thing I look at. You know, that I'm really just focusing on the growth and body development at that point, developing the pigment, knowing the full well the rest will come when I start to condition them and use the winter period for that. So first part of your question, obviously looking for it. Skin luster, it's not something, obviously if it's not there, don't expect it to come, but it's there in different levels as well. Some quite subtle, You know, you can't really always pick up on it that much unless you're experienced in small fish, especially. Some stand out like a sore thumb. I mean, we've seen the, you know, fully scaled Wakagoi fish that look doits because the skin is just that
luminous,
good. Yeah, they're unmistakable. It's sort of like the rest in between, and yeah, sometimes it's not quite that prominent, and in some bloodlines and different varieties, it can come a little bit later on as mucus sort of thickens and yeah, pigmentation progresses more. You could be mistaken for thinking, you know, when we talk of skin quality and shine, it's nothing to do with the intensity or the hue of the colour. That's a completely different area altogether with its own set of rules and things you need to understand and get around. So yeah, it's just looking, I suppose the best thing is you need to sort of see it side by side. It's a really difficult one, but you can see fish with flat skin, it doesn't give that same impression, does it?
I think
it is a very visual one to sort of see. Hard to get across in pictures. Really hard.
This is where, like, someone messaged us last week saying, can you do something on skin quality, which sort of prompted this chat. I said, yeah, we can, you know, no problem. We can discuss things, but it's not, some things you've just got to see, you know, and I think skin quality is something that is so important to the value and the impression of a fish. But it's hard to, you know.
If you want to blow the whole topic out, obviously, you've got luster. Obviously, luster's massively important. That's the bit that really ebbs and flows a lot. Pigmentation is another part of skin quality, and not the same as luster, because you can have a fish with good pigmentation, but if it's not got the luster, it's not going to have the overall quality. Then you've obviously got sashi, another part of the skin, more complex bit. Kiwa as well. So yeah, I don't know if I've missed out there really, but that's probably the four sort
components,
of main components that are making it up, and each in their own right quite complicated when you're looking at it. And yeah, obviously when it all comes together, like, let's use an example, my little Kohaku that I'm hoping to compete at the show at, that for me is where that's all come together perfectly. Obviously, when you add GinRin into the mix, there's another layer again, which is thrown in there. It's one of the things I actually love about GinRin, because it adds this extra dimension, this extra layer of complexity, where when you've got something that's wow, and you chuck GinRin on it, for me, it just goes up a gear.
It's like for me as well, like when you get Fuka in, that just almost
another
adds,
element of skin.
Yeah,
there we go.
On maybe perhaps more obvious on older fish, perhaps, but another dimension that it's in itself. It's such a complex sort of attribute, an element of appreciation.
Yeah,
and they really fish that have got it.
I think
if you took it away from that fish, then you'd you know what I mean? I know it's not possible to do that, but
a lot of these, I think, are the subtleties that get overlooked possibly at koi shows. Whereas probably someone's looking at something that's got all the pattern and everything else going on and going, well, why does that fish not beat that?
Yeah, well, that's got a lovely maritime mark on the head, blah, blah, blah.
Fish next door, that pattern's not quite it, but it's got the big imposing body,
banging skin,
you know, real skin luster, Fuka in popping. That one's going to win every day, certainly on the Japanese show scene. And that's where you do see at times things where I know, you know, people are looking thinking, why is that one?
Bit of a head scratcher,
Well, that's the same in a lot of things. It's just having the refined eye, like with, I'm quite into a bit of a foodie with stuff, and you know, I'm not saying my palate's pretty shit, to be honest, and I've been in some restaurants that have been pretty serious places and not quite got it. You know, I've got elements of it, i.e. the service part and all the rest of it, thinking, wow, that's fantastic. In fact, without sounding too much like a posh twat,
I think you're going to.
Yeah, I'm actually cringing as I'm saying it. Insight into my life. I've been to Gordon Ramsay's place. His flagship one, Ramsay by Gordon Ramsay. Something I've always wanted to do, and me and the wife did it. I've been to quite a few different places. Some we got straight away, you know, so went there. It's 3 Michelin star. It's as good as any restaurant gets. And I didn't get it. I did not get it at all. It's for us. I've been to ones, far cheaper, 1-star places, and even places that aren't rated, and enjoyed the food far much more than I did there.
Yeah.
Other elements I get, that's when I talk about service. The service there was
different.
mind-blowing. When I saw the operation run, it was just like, wow, but my palate did not get the food. I literally come away and I said to my wife, I said, I think the stuff there we were missing. We're just not picking up
Not in tune
maybe
with
the
it,
subtleties of it or whatever was going on, we're just not getting. So it weren't to say it was bad. This is something I find in koi, it's things that get slagged off sometimes, not because they're bad, because you don't understand it.
Well, it's managing expectations as well,
and
isn't
that,
it?
For me, I walked to it quite happy to say that. I don't get that.
Yeah.
And that was that. So I'd say it's not my bag. And I like to make similarities against stuff I'm into versus things to try and understand where people are coming from with stuff. And it's what I see in koi, It's just that case whereby, something like that, the finer points of skin quality, the finer points of body, all that. Sometimes if you don't understand it, it gets overlooked, and then that can be why you don't understand that fish is twice the price of the one that's got the nice pattern, but it's lacking in them qualities. So, from a Japanese perspective, because they're very in tune with all that stuff, that's where true value comes from. It's when all them elements are there and not necessarily got the pattern to back it up. When you do get the pattern to then back it up and you've got all them qualities, that's when you're talking All Japan Koi Show major winners that are the fish that, we all dream of.
Yeah.
But prices go beyond all reality.
I think I like to draw analogies as well, because I think it helps. Like, if you're not sort of if you're listening to this and you're not quite on our wavelength, it just might paint things in a different light. Yeah. So obviously when there is a reality that as fish get older, much like you or I, their youthfulness, you'll probably hear that word quite a lot, banded around quite a lot, will drop off. I'm fortunate that I still look like a 16-year-old. I'm not even getting a smile out of you there.
Who's told you that?
My mum. But obviously, most people, as we get older, we don't look our best. That is a reality. That's the same for fish. Yeah. Obviously, when your expectations are that I'm buying this fish and I'm going to make it look like that for the next 20 years, that's a reality you've got. Yeah.
That's where, tying back in, that's where, again, you can get a lot of enjoyment out of the sort of smaller fish raising, because you will keep those fish looking so much more youthful for longer periods. Yeah. I have seen it, when we're excessively pushing fish, at the top ends where we're now getting 5-6-year-old fish that are hitting 80s beyond, they're hitting the peak quite early, and that intensive raising can age them. I've seen it with my own eyes at farms where it's all of a sudden, they've been pushed so hard, they get to that point, and a lot of them can just fall off the cliff pretty quickly. Whereas the older school sort of raising, Ikarashi Kazuto, obviously passed away now, but great guy. I loved his mentality, and you've seen the place. Fish there, always big, old fish that never sold, that you saw swimming around for years. Yeah. Just looked fabulous, constantly, all the time. And he was really, really in. His breeding methodology, for one, got me. When I did an interview with him about it, male fish, he liked to use big old male fish that still looked the part and had the quality. Why? Because at that point, winding back 20, 30 years ago when he's talking, obviously males not what they are today. Yeah. To find that was a rare beast. And obviously using that, basically your success of your spawning is going to be much lower. Fertilisation rates, all the rest of it, typically a much lower yield out of the fish. But what he believed it did, and I can see it quite clearly, is get longevity in the bloodline. Then couple that with his raising techniques, which wasn't intensive. We were just talking 40-45 cm Nisai, slowly progressing through the sizes, still hitting the big sizes. The lineage had the capability. They just did it 2 or 3 years later than what you're seeing at the likes of a Sakai or a Momotaro fish now. And the whole thought process behind it, much the same as Matsunosuke. That's pretty much the thought process behind that whole lineage and setup. It's the longevity. Slowly, capable of getting there, but done in a slower way, which then gives the lasting quality.
The
Just something,
longevity,
again,
yeah.
I don't really hear that spoken about these days.
Probably going off on a tangent a little bit here, but
As we do.
yeah, no, I think it's definitely like
Yeah.
something that pops up quite a lot. I mean, obviously, people are always obsessed with size, and the way, obviously, when I started out in the trade 20 odd years ago, 35 cm Nisai was pretty much,
Yeah,
that's not bad going, you know.
The standard.
And now we're moving into 65, touching 70. Is there an unrealistic expectation from what you're going to get for your money for Nisai these days? 2-year-old fish. Or are people expecting 45, 50, 55 as a standard?
Yeah, again, I think it's just not to dismiss. I think you're probably seeing, you know, in some cases, people seeing, because it's becoming commonplace to see a certain farm, 50, 55 cm Nisai is standard. You know, Matsue is springing to mind, Nogami, NND, Marido, Maruyama, all them farms, that's the standard. You know, hitting 60 then above, we're seeing that at the Sakai's, Momoteros, Denichis, even more so they're at the forefront of that, and them lineages. So bearing in mind, a lot of them lineages underpin a lot of these other breeders we're speaking about. You know, it's the go-to place for parents. So, yeah, I've lost my track there.
Expectations.
That's it.
You know.
So that's it. But it's not to tend to say and not to forget that these other breeders, and there's elements to get that. We've got the bloodline for one, and then we're talking raising technique. That's the other big part of it. Just because the bloodline's got the potential to do size, without the right technique and conditions, it won't realise it. So what we've got is breeders, and it's quite intensive at them farms as well. Growing jumbo toe sites all over winter in the mud ponds, bang out. Big thing there to also note is that yes, we're seeing in some farms, you know, big Nisai, big Sanzai, they're still limited by the genetics and the parent fish. It's quite easy to shoot a fish up to, say, there's a particular shower lineage at minute, really fond of NND's new bloodline. I've got quite a few fish from it. Customers have got quite a few fish there as well. We're talking, you know, 65 cm consistently at Sanzai, 75 cm consistently at Yonsai. Then all of a sudden, that next Yonsai to go side bump, we're sort of hitting 79, 80, and then it's really stalling. That's not to forget, you know, Showa at that size is still remarkable. Yeah. It's not an easy task. The lineage is superb, but all of a sudden you've had that huge burst of growth, and it's just fell off.
Yeah.
And that then is the genetic
that's their predisposition. Yeah.
Just kicking in.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a huge part of managing the expectations there, but it's still quite possible if those fish were raised slower, differently. So again, NND raising great jumbo tosai, nice big Nisai, all the rest of it. If they were raised slower, so we're talking, you know, 20, 25 cm tosai as opposed to 40, 45, it's still got the potential to reach that 80 centimetre fish. It's probably just going to take 2 more years. That's all. You're not losing anything by doing it. It's just, yeah, you know, for them forwarding it, they'll be looking in them lines for the fish that can potentially grow beyond it.
Apologies about that, guys. We had a bit of a technical glitch there, but thanks for watching. Hope you've all enjoyed this edition of On the Sofa with myself and Ricky. Yeah, stay tuned for the next issue, and as always, take care out there for a start, and also take advantage of the free code that we got for the subscription of the magazine this month. So thanks very much for listening, and see you soon.